So let's talk about was there a failure that maybe that humbled you and forced you to evolve to get to the man that you are today?
Yeah, I mean, there's a million failures that I've had in my life that have made me, recreated me in a sense. And, there was times where we've lost programs and I was on a trajectory straight up and I thought, this was it and I was going to get there. And then, something happened with the program, something happened with the campaign, something happened with the sales office. Some things didn't go my way. And what I learned from that, and I think the most important thing is that you can never let your foot off the gas pedal for any reason. And once you think you made it is when you really didn't make it. So I feel like I have to work every single day now like someone can take it away at any point.
Hi, everyone. I am Julie Edmonds, your host of Channeled, tapping into the wisdom of your soul.
Hello and welcome to Channeled, our podcast today. And today we are talking to someone who truly is special to me. He lives in the top 1% of performance, not just financially or professionally, but in how he thinks, how he leads, and how he shows up in his entire life. Chris Bute has built multiple high-performing sales organizations across the entire country, drawing in a revenue of over 25 million yearly. He's trained thousands of leaders, and he's known for creating cultures that win, not just hustle. He teaches people how to think differently, operate differently, and step into a version of themselves that produces extraordinary results in every area of his life. And what I really admire about Chris is that his success isn't just public, it's personal. He's a devoted husband and father to 3 amazing kids. And the way he leads at home is just as intentional as the way he leads teams and his business. His life reflects his work. So, Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming. I'm really excited.
Some introduction. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. So obviously we've known each other for a long time, but we have some great listeners here and a bunch of entrepreneurs that really want to hear your story and how you got started and how you become the great Chris Bute that we are today. So if you want to just kind of give a little bit of your background, and then we'll dive into some questions.
For sure. So I grew up in the South Bronx when I was younger. My humble beginnings. My parents didn't have a ton of money while they were growing up. Unfortunately, my dad had passed at a young age at about 14. So my mom was a single mother trying to raise us. Moved out to Long Island. She thought it would be a better opportunity for me to move out to Long Island. The schooling and obviously in the Bronx wasn't great. So they moved me out to Long Island with my aunt, my uncle, to get some better schooling. Was out here for a couple of years in Long Island and attended college out here, played football at Hofstra. And then from there, was just looking for a career path of what I wanted to do. Went to school my first 2 years for physical therapy. I thought I was going to be a PT. I didn't love the sciences, didn't love the lab, so kind of shifted away from that and looked to what I thought was going to be the career for me, which was finance. So I finished my degree in finance. I ended up working on Wall Street as a financial advisor for JP Morgan and a commodity trader. Couldn't stand it. After about a year and a half, I just didn't love that career. Got into the mortgage banking industry where I was on the banking side and the underwriting and the appraisals and the loans. So I wasn't a broker, but I was the person approving the loans on the banking side. And then there was a crash and was personally recruited into the business, into our current business in sales and marketing. Took a personality test. The personality test led me towards a sales background and got personally recruited by Nicole. And then at that point, from that point forward, I didn't really think this was what I was going to do in the sales and marketing industry, but I like the people, I like the energy, so I stuck with it and been in the industry ever since 2007. So,
well, let's talk about the industry because our listeners aren't all understanding of what our industry is. So obviously, it's outside sales, direct sales, marketing. And Chris, you came in like the bull in the china shop. Like you didn't care what you broke. You were just charging force ahead. Did you always have that way about you? Because I know you're in sports Like you play football, you now you coach all of your kids' teams, lacrosse and everything else. Were you always like that? Where did you get that from?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that over time when you're in an environment that's kind of a little rough around the edges in a sense where it's, you got to fight for everything that's yours and you have to continue to prove yourself and I took that mentality just in life and I think I've been fighting since I was a little kid and that industry to me was more of along the lines of just, hey, if you don't fight, you're not going to get what you want. So when I came into a sales and marketing industry, I saw a lot of complacent people and people that were just very easy to be passed because they wouldn't do the bare minimum of just showing up, right? Showing up is like 90% of what you have to do here is just show up every day with no excuses and the no BS mentality. My dad was a Marine, so he raised me as a Marine since I was a little kid. So I had a very disciplined mind frame. I took that into training, into sports, into everything else I ever did in my life is just be disciplined, show up, don't make excuses, don't be a victim. And if you can do those things, good things will come to you. And so I took that mentality and that approach. Probably ruffled some feathers when I first came into any job that or any career or any sport. But I think that mostly when you ruffle people's feathers, it's people that are not really confident and secure within themselves. And they're just insecure that someone else is coming in that's new and feels that, hey, and it's nothing against them. I learned from every single person that I came in, but I wasn't going to wait for them to be successful in order for me to get my piece.
No, I love that answer. And it's not about when you say ruffled feathers, we all know you have, well, the people that know you have the biggest golden heart that ever exists. So like any of that is meant with like, love and intention, the loving intention behind it. So you moved from the corporate world, you came into this entrepreneurial field that we're all in, and you moved up really quickly. So what advice would you give to someone just starting out in this kind of, they want to run their own business, and it's not like where they know what to start, but the mentality behind it on how they can be successful. Because you like went, whew. I mean, I know you went through the years, and we'll talk about some of the challenges later, but you attacked right on and you made it happen.
Yeah, I mean, listen, what I did was no secret is I copied what other people were doing, right? Like, and the good part about most people that are successful, they're cool with sharing what they did in order to be successful. No one really like hides it in because there's a lot more to just giving you the knowledge of what you could do to be successful. It's the hard work and the grit and the actual effort that you put in on a day-to-day basis. So I don't think anybody would ever be scared to share what made them successful. If anything, they like telling their story. Just like in a business, when you're doing sales, people love talking about themselves and what they did in order to accomplish because a certain sense of pride and just proud moments in their life that they like to talk about and give that same advice to new people that are coming in. So for me, yeah, I think I am proud of where I came from, but in the same advice, I think that the main reason why I moved up quicker than other people is that I didn't limit myself to what people have done previous before me. So, records are meant to be broken, and I felt like if it's not me, then who is it? And, not saying I was going to beat every record, but what I did was I just kind of sized myself up to other people in the industry and said, okay, let me get as good or without, rubbing it in their face and talking to them, oh, I'm competing with you. But I would just look at somebody that was just a little bit above me and just kind of get to know them and see what they're doing on an everyday basis and say, okay, what can I do a little bit better than them? What are they better at than me? What can I learn from them? And then more and more I did that, I just kind of, without people knowing, I was just competing with them. So I would pick another owner that was running a sales office and say, okay, right now they're doing X. Let me see what they're doing. And then I'm going to try to do Y. And I'm just, every time I just kept working my way up the ladder until there was no one else to catch.
I love the mentality. So obviously you're extremely competitive, and it seems like you already had some kind of internal like confidence or self-worth that you felt that you could do it. There's a lot of people that come in that are young and they're questioning their own self-worth, their own confidence. And a big part of it is like you can do something by yourself, but the best way is to bring a great team around you. And you've been known to attract and build huge teams around you. And you've helped people just go from, nothing to a lot, and not just financially. We're talking being a great person in life. What are some things that you think that are special to you or maybe systematic to you that helps you develop people around you And this is good for other people that are in the position, like, I don't know how to build teams so much. What advice do you give them?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've heard this piece of advice from a long time ago. I think Brandy said it to me. How jacked up is your personal life if you can't bring the people in it? And for me, I always just felt like, hey, listen, if you surround your people around your family, your friends, and the people that you have at home, they'll know that you're a genuine, real person, and that you're not a person that's not, just wants what's good for them in their life out of them. And for me, I just wanted people to have the similar lifestyle that this business has drawn for me, or the hard work I've put in. And if you can change a couple people's lives and watch them raise their kids and watch them get to do the things that they're not, normally able to do. I think for me, being in corporate America for so long, I watched sacrifices that people made. And as I got older, I started to realize that most of those sacrifices they wish they never made. And most of it is missing really important milestones in people's lives, or watching your kid's sports game, or not being able to go to your parent teacher conference and do those things because corporate America wouldn't allow them to do that. And for me, I was like, that's not a life that you really want to live, right? Like, if you're missing the most important things that are in life, which is your family and your friends and events and things that you can't go to, then why are you working so hard? You're
Yeah.
better off just getting a job where you have a lot more freedom and you can make some money here and there. And that's the way I always thought about it. And then I'm like, it shouldn't be an or thing. It should be an and thing. So it's being able to have the lifestyle that you want and be able to attend all those events. And then once I started to really figure that out and say, hey, you can do both. You can be a great dad, you can be a great husband, you can be a great mentor, and you can go on some crazy trips with your friends and play golf and do all the things that you want to. And it's just, at some point you just got to figure out that you can do both if you really put your time and your energy in, and you get into the right career where they have the freedom of what's more important than anything to me is than money is time. If your career creates time, you've won already. If you're able to pick your kids up from school without asking somebody, you're winning.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. And I mean, I'm sure there are times like people have to really put their nose to the grindstone and figure it out, but you are a visionary and you created your life in your head, and everything that you just said, I know you were thinking about that way before you even had a family.
Yeah.
You had Nicole, you got married to Nicole, now you guys have three beautiful children, and you spend a ton of time now coaching them. And I want to get to that in a minute. Um, but before we get to there, can you tell us, like, and I know you've, like, obviously success is not just a straight up arrow and never had anything happen. Obviously, we all go through ups and downs. It's just that you never let that stop you. So let's talk about was there a failure that maybe that humbled you and forced you to evolve to get to the man that you are today?
Yeah, I mean, there's a million failures that I've had in my life that have made me, recreated me in a sense. And
Yeah.
there was times where we've lost programs, and I was on a trajectory straight up, and I thought, this was it, and I was going to get there, and then something happened with the program, something happened with the campaign, something happened with the sales office, some things didn't go my way. And what I learned from that, and I think the most important thing is that you can never let your foot off the gas pedal for any reason. And once you think you made it is when you really didn't make it. So I feel like I have to work every single day now, like someone can take it away at any point. And so the motivation for me is different now. It's not really the money. It's not really the success. I think it's the fear of losing that. I think I've built an organization and then I lost an organization. So I think for me, I know that that can happen at any time, that a program can change, a client can change, or something in your life could change that put you a contract can change, and then maybe you have to start over. But I think the confidence that I have now is a little different because I've already done it so many times that it's very easy for me to rebuild in my head. So if you took everything away from me today, I know that I could go out there and rebuild it already because I already have the blueprint for it. So once you have the blueprint and you know it can be done, it takes away the doubt. And once you have the doubt away, anything is possible.
I love that answer because I talk to so many entrepreneurs that are like, oh my God, we're doing so well. We have this momentum. I'm just afraid the shoe is going to fall apart. And at some points, I mean, it just will. But what you're saying is that you've gained the confidence, not just the blueprint, but like that the resourcefulness and the understanding that you could probably just get it back really quickly because you have like that expansion in your mind. I mean, we're all pushing there, right?
Yeah, no, it doesn't really matter at this point like you got to expect that something's going to happen at this point. But I think over the time you create almost a rhino skin to it, right? Like so it's like so many things happened in business that I used to get emotional on certain things that would happen in business, and now it doesn't bother me anymore because it's just like it's expected. I expect, I got news today. Something happened with the client. Okay, someone's getting laid off. This person is okay. It's expected at this point. It's like okay, all right. So what are we gonna do? We can
Right.
either be a victim to what happened, right? And we can just say, oh my God, why me, why me, why me, or try me, at this point, it's like just try me at this point. It doesn't matter. It's not going to be affected, and I'll figure it out just the way I've figured everything else out that has come in my path.
Why me or try me? Oh, that's good. You're right. Obviously I've known you for a long time, and you've definitely matured and become a little extremely passionate, but it just in a different way. You don't overreact. I know, we all grow older. You started in what, late 20s or so, and then as you got older, you become this like very balanced with life, with business. You know when to like cut a boundary and say no, and then go home and then work with your kids. Let's talk about your kids and um, lacrosse and all the things that they're in. Like, and also you had a football team. Like, let's give a little bit of personal, some fun facts, and just some bit about your life there.
Yeah, yeah. So listen, right now I have three kids. The youngest is not in sports yet, although that's coming, and nervous how we're gonna put that piece to the puzzle in because it is a full-time gig. My son plays tackle football, plays lacrosse, plays basketball, and plays flag. So he does a little bit of everything right now. So he's on got a couple Super Bowls this week for him. He's in the Mustangs local tackle football league that he's in.
But how old are they?
Jack is 8, Ava is 10, and then Annie is 3. So a little age gap in between the two olders and the youngest, but they're good brother and sisters. They take care of her. Our weekend is Monday. So a typical weekend, a typical week. I'll give you my rundown of sports of where we're taking them. So Monday night, I coached the Super Bowl for the Mustangs. We won for the girls' flag, which Ava won. That was the first Super Bowl. Tuesday, she has lacrosse practice. Jack has tackle football practice. Wednesday, Jack has basketball and football. Thursday, Ava has basketball and football. Friday, they have a football game. Saturday, we're in Delaware for a lacrosse tournament. Sunday, we have 3 football games.
Wow.
So and
Dedicated dad.
yeah, it's a full-time job. It's I don't know if I'm a coach, an Uber driver, or a dad at this point, but I think I do a little bit of all three.
And a bank.
And a bank. So it's a lot for it, but listen, it's what we signed them up for, and it keeps them off the iPad. It keeps them motivated and disciplined, and I think more importantly, as I talk to other parents, especially in our town is probably one of the most competitive sports town in America, and I don't say that lightly. I say that like we moved here because of that. They've won the state championship for football the last 3 years. They won lacrosse state championship. One town for Massapequa went to the Little League World Series last year for the girls softball and won it against countries. And then the boys were in the Little League World Series 2 years ago as a town. So it's like the town is just takes pride in the sports. They're disciplined, and I think it teaches more importantly than winning, because I think that we do a ton of that. But I think more importantly than that, it's the disciplines that they teach kids, and that it's to work something. My son every day sometimes is just like, Dad, I don't want to go practicing. Do I have to? Can I just take this day of practice off? And I say, no. We made a commitment. We committed to the coach. We're going to be there every single week. We're going to be at every practice. We're not going to miss unless something happens that we have to miss. But we're going to be at every single thing. And it's teaching them those disciplines now, which is going to eventually evolve into their lives in the future. I think that's the most important thing you could teach kids, because 99% of these kids are not going pro in what they do. It's just what lessons are they learn, what people are they bringing, what social skills are they bring to the table with it. And I think that's the value.
Wow. No, you answered my question because I was going to say, well, what do you tell your kids? Like, besides the discipline, obviously, for parents listening, it's like one of the biggest and most important and most difficult jobs being a parent. I have three kids too, as you know, and, it's not easy walk in the park. So again, it's not all sports, it's life. And, what advice besides the discipline do you give your kids?
Yeah, I actually was more proud of my kids. So we went and did the parent teacher conference this week, and I was more proud of them just saying they're a good kid. Like they're just a good hearted, strong kid that they look out for other kids. They don't let kids get bullied on the bus. They step up and they say things like those types of things are more important to me than the grades. Because to be honest with you, the school grades, I'm not a big advocate for homework or any of that stuff. I'm like my thought process, and if you can't teach my kid in 8 hours, what am I teaching them at home? I'm not still going to school. We don't learn the same way. The math is different, everything's different. Why are you sending this kid home at
No, I
15?
can't figure out any of my kids'
Yeah, I
out.
can't figure it out, and I'm going to use a calculator or Chat GPT for this, and half this stuff they'll never use in their life. But again, I don't. Same thing with college. College is a piece of paper, and I have an MBA, but it's just the discipline that you were able to accomplish something and fall through and go through an entire thing. I think that's what school teaches these kids. But more importantly, is like, are you a good kid? How are you looked at by your peers and your teachers? Are you a good kid? Are you a kid that raises their hands? Do you have manners? Are you teaching them the right habits and things of that nature? And listen, it's not an easy battle, especially with the boy. He's they have a ton of energy, and you just have to know kids. And it's like, hey, my teacher knows the kid that I think the teacher is amazing. She lets him stand up while they're doing the lessons because he has ants in his pants, and boys have testosterone in there. They need to move, and girls can just sit and be peaceful and
No,
very.
and that's scientifically proven what you're
Oh,
saying. That's
100%.
just you making it up. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not, it's 100%, but you have to know that. And as a parent, if you're just always thinking your kid, like, why is my son all over the place? He's not. He's a normal, healthy 8-year-old boy that likes to move around, talk, ask questions, inquisitive, wants to get his energy out. And I think that once you start to learn those things, I think it helps you with coaching of them and mentoring them and being a good parent.
Yeah. And you and your wife, Nicole, wonderful
Oh,
parents.
she's 10
Okay.
times better than me. She's got more patience than I do. Especially when it comes to I think every day I yell at the kids, get their stuff ready for sports, and every day we're rushing out the door because they're not ready for sports. So I think it's a constant battle. I think every parent that's a youth sports, where is my cleat? Where is whatever piece of equipment they're looking for? And please, every day when you come home, just put it in the bin like you're supposed to, and that never happens. Yes, this morning I woke up and I went to go in the shower, and the football helmet and shoulder pads were in my bathroom upstairs. How did it get all the way up there? Like his room is not even on the same level as our room. I don't get it. But,
It's a ghost. I'm
yeah,
sure they'll tell you some story. The dog brought it in.
yeah,
Listen, it's
100%.
not every sports parent, it's every parent, period. No matter what, it's always like that. So, like 10 seconds, can I get to school? When did the alarm go off? When you said it. Anyway,
Yeah. Well, listen, we're not much better. Like, where are my keys? Where's my phone? I think I go through that maybe once or twice a week too. So I think that it's just we got to realize that the chaos that we have in their lives and the constant moving and things, it's the brain doesn't get much time to calm down. So, um, we're human. We're gonna make mistakes. So try to
yeah,
be as understanding as possible to that.
no, for sure. I mean, I've been with you several times where you lost your phone.
Happens.
So, So let's talk about building teams again, because there's a lot of people that, they're good on their own, but when it comes to transferring the knowledge, like what's a piece of advice you'd give a team builder, someone who is looking to develop a very strong team around them? Um, what makes a team win versus just being average or just falling apart?
Yeah, I think people learn different ways and people understand things different ways. But what I've learned is if you can be a perfect example to what you want them to do and you follow through with that and not just a person that says it, but actually does it, chances of their success in anything they do are going to be higher. And I feel like, over time, I was always taught this lesson. And the lesson is, um, if you're training or interviewing a girl and the girl's on your team, they have to want to date you and not physically go on a date. Let's go out to dinner. The same traits that they see in you as an individual or they see in me, they would have to see in a future husband. And they will respect you and look at you as a mentor or somebody that they would want to follow. And as a man, if I'm training or interviewing another man, they would have to want to be in my role or be in my position. So let an example, if I'm out there and I'm stressed out every single day and I'm running around and I'm all over the place and I'm always complaining, no one's going to ever want to be me or put a lot of effort into training like me or interviewing like me. So I feel like if you make the job always stressful and you're never like balanced and calm and showing them that could be done, or in turn, if I make it look too easy, where all the skills that I've possessed over the last years and I'm letting them compare themselves to those skills and ability, you can't compare my chapter 20 to your chapter 1. So I think just being authentic and being real with the person and saying, hey, when I first started, I sucked at sales. I wasn't very good. I wasn't very good at trading. And, I kind of like rocked back and forth when I first did my first sale and I didn't know what I was saying. I was bumbling over my words, but I'm on chapter 20 now. So if you just put in the work and put in the time, your chapter 20 could look like this. Now, when you say that it could look like this, it better be a good picture, right? Like it better be something that people want to be a part of. Because if you're still stressed out and all over the place after 20 years of doing this, well, no one's would really want to your role or your position or want to be like you or act like you. So I think when you're building a team, being authentic, knowing what drives that person, I think is really important. So if getting to know that person on a personal level will help you know what motivates them and drives them on an everyday basis. So for me, everyone knows it's like, okay, cool. I want freedom with my children. I want to be able to provide for them. I want to leave legacies and generations of wealth. So if like I'm doing something that I'm not supposed to be doing or I'm not driving on that same thing, it's like, hey, what would Jack think if he saw you right now? Then that will trigger my brain like, okay, you're right. I got to straighten up and be a good example for him. So I think knowing what people's ticks, sometimes it could be materialistic things. Those things last very short. I think anybody that's going for like a new car or a house or things, I think those internal clocks will be very short lived because I think people think getting something is going to make them feel better until they actually get it. And it's really the lifestyle that they're chasing and not the individual pieces to having a car or having a house or having this. It's a lifestyle thing. So then creating a team is being authentic, making sure that people understand what you're trying to accomplish, but also being real with them and saying, "Hey, I wasn't always great at this either, and we're going to work together and finding out what makes them tick and drive them."
That's great. It's a great answer. The role model piece is huge. So what would you say, people always say, what would you say to your younger self? Like, is there something that you know about success today? And there's probably a lot that if you were coaching yourself at 20 years old and like you were looking at the young Chris or the young 25-year-old Chris, like besides it's going to be okay, like what would you tell Chris that he needs to work on or fix or do or get better at or just keep going or whatever that you've like overcome throughout the years?
Yeah, I think that while you're going through your whatever your journey is, I think that the journey shapes you and creates the rhino skin that you need in order to be successful. So and I think that I would just tell myself, like, hey, you're going to go through hard times, but those hard times are going to make you who you are. So you are the person that could tell the story later. If you don't go through any hard times and it's straight level up to success, that you're not going to know when something does happen at that level how to handle it. Or maybe you don't hit any hard times and you go straight to the top. You're not going to be able to explain to somebody what happened at that level in order to get yourself out of that mind frame. So I'm kind of happy that everything happened the way it happened. So the only coaching I would really give myself is, maybe more financial stuff is like, hey, invest earlier, put more money away. But I think, for me, I think it would be like, hey, you know, your emotions got to be in control when you're doing this business. And your emotions are the most important things that you got to control. I don't care about your IQ. Your IQ, you're going to learn how to do things. But if you can't learn emotionally how to control yourself when these decisions are being made, you're going to kill a lot of great relationships that you could have fostered into great partnerships in the future because of your emotions. And I think for me, it was very true. It's like I was a very highly intense, motivated, emotional person. I wore my heart on my sleeve and I would get really upset when people didn't do the same. But you have to realize that, hey, there's a reason why there's millionaires in the world and people that are still looking for jobs at the age of 40 is because of the decisions they made. Don't let those decisions shape you or be those decisions.
Yeah, no, it's true. So tell yourself, don't give up.
Yeah.
Control your emotions. Think and have a vision. Sounds like have a
Yeah. Think
nice
with the
vision.
end in mind. Think what you really want out of life. And if your goals are so big, the obstacles in the road are going to be small. You're just going to step right over them. And everyone's going to have hard times, but really no one cares. What I mean? Everyone's going through something personally.
No one
Everyone
cares.
has something going in their life. They might act like they care, and the people that are really close to you really will care. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's you versus you. You got to get through it. Like you got to be able to handle that. You got to be able to climb that mountain because moral support and family members will help you, whatever that looks like. But ultimately, it's you that still has to climb the hill.
Yeah. Those are the stories that build the character too. And, you gain the respect from that. When someone just tries to show up as this perfect person, that's even worse. No one really cares about that. So, what advice do you give if someone's coming up to you and saying, Chris, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if this is for me. Like, what is there some sort of advice you give that person?
Yeah, I mean, if you believe you can't do it, you can't do it. Like it's really simple, right? Like you're in your own head. Like so, if you're telling me that you can't do this, then I believe you. If you're telling me you can do this, then I believe you. And I'll support you on that fact. But ultimately, at the end of the day, there's no advice that I can give somebody if they've already said that I don't think I can do this because their self-doubt is something that is created from your own brain because you've already like I've already showed you that you could do this. Like I'm a proving walking fact, and I can give you 100 more people that have been successful that have done it. The only two reasons why people can't do this is number one. Number one is they're not willing to put in the work that it takes to do this. And that I'm okay with because you can't have these type of goals and say, I want this kind of work ethic. They just don't align. So yes, you're right. If you're not willing to do X, Y, and Z, then you cannot do this. But at the same time, don't tell me other people behind you can't do it just because you can't. Just say I'm not willing to do what it takes in order to be successful. Because you can't say it can't be done because we're already showing you that it can be.
Yeah.
So it's a monkey see, monkey do, not a monkey hear, monkey do business. And I think that's in any kind of success in any kind of business in life is like someone's already paved the way for you. You already have a trailblazer that's already done it. Now you kind of just got to follow the script and make it your own and make it unique. And so I believe whatever someone tells me. And I was told a long time ago, I'm in the business of making good people great, not average people good. And you got to get to that point right now. And my point where I am in my life, and I think Sebastian says this best is I'm building an army, not a hospital. You know, you gotta enlist in the military. You gotta enlist in the team. I'm not. If you're sitting on the side of the road, I'm not going to drag you to my team. But if you're willing to come here, I'm willing to put in the work, and I'll stand side by side with you in the field of battle. But I'm not gonna, not while you're limping along and saying I don't think I can do this. It's like, all right, yeah, you can't. Because at this point in my life, maybe 10 years ago, I might have been at that point where I would like try to foster those going. And typically, what I've learned is when you're trying to put that much effort into somebody to try to just get them average, typically they don't make it long term anyway. And it's just, it's kind of like rowing the boat in this direction and the one person has their paddle in the water. You're just dragging them. And
Yeah, it's because they aren't doing the work. So
you're
you
not
could do
doing
the
the
work
work.
and want it for them, but they have to
Yeah,
want it.
this is
So
not this is not this is not a really, sales and marketing, in my opinion, is not, it's more of a grit. It's not really more of like, it's just more of a, do you have what it takes to be relentless? and just to continue to like push forward when things don't go your way, and you just have blind faith that it's going to work itself out. And for now, I don't even think it's blind faith because so many people have done it. It's like, man, you have so many role models, so many people to look up to that are probably similar to your back. Maybe my background doesn't resonate with everyone, but there's somebody in the industry that you want to be in that their background resonates, and just find their path and go with it.
Yeah, no, you're so right. But I think the blind faith really, Chris, boils down to blind faith in themselves, because I could see everyone do it, but if I think I can't, and we already talked about this, and also the authentic.
Self-confidence is, and listen, they can work on their self-confidence through
Yeah,
books, through things. Just remember, maybe you're not good at this now, but there's something that you're really good at. You're better than me at, you're better than other people at. And everyone has their skills and their traits. It's being able to hone those skills and those traits and be able to make something from them. And
wow,
everyone has something that they're great at. Maybe they're great with numbers, maybe they're great with people, maybe they're more sympathetic and emotional towards people so they can read and respond better. But someone has a skill or a trait that I don't have that can use that to leverage what they want out of life.
that's great. That's beautiful. So last question. Is there a quote you live by, or a quote that you love to just repeat a lot, or a quote you made up?
Yeah, I mean, I always say, I think all the time is some will, some won't, so what? It's and I think just over time it's just, I think we live in a generation now that there's just so many people complaining and victims of things that are going wrong. And I love the old school way of thinking. It's just like, you know, and now I say to my son, but I say to my daughter too. I say to my son, I say, man up. No one cares. And I say it to my daughter, woman up. No one cares. Because I think women are just as powerful as men. And yeah, I tell my daughter all the time, you can do whatever you want. You can play any sport you want. She loves football and that's her thing. And I said, okay, woman up then. You want the other night, it's freezing cold. It's like 30 degrees. The wind is whipping and we have a game. I said, you signed up for football. Welcome to football weather. Let's go. It's game time. Like, it's woman up. You know what I mean? And she's like, she puts on her face and she's ready to rock and roll as a 10-year-old. And I just feel like in life, I just feel like, hey, listen, the only way through it is through it. And just I can size up my background and what's happened to me in life, and I can put those cards against pretty much anybody. If you really heard, like, we're not going to get into the deep and dark stuff, but the deep and dark stuff, like the cards that I got dealt were not a great deck of cards, and I was very light at the beginning of my dad passing away and all that stuff. But end of the day, it's like no one cares.
Yeah.
You got to
And when
get
you
through
say
it.
no one cares, that's just for the record. It just means no one cares about the excuses that you might make because of what's happening. People care
I
about
think people care for a
choices.
short amount of time, Julie, and I'm going to be honest with that. I think people out of sight, out of mind. I think
Yeah,
when something tragic happens to somebody or something happens tragically in their life, I think people care. They'll check
yeah,
up on you for a couple weeks, but the only way through it is through it. Like, let's say you have somebody in your life that passes away, people are going to ask about it for a year or two, but no one asks me at this point in my life, how do I feel about my dad passing away, my mom passing away? The only way through it is that's an internal thing that I got to deal with.
yeah.
And I think that like people care for temporary time. And I think they care about you as genuine human beings. I do think everyone does care about your well-being, but your problems are going to be your problems for the rest of your life. You have to learn how to deal with them and still perform on a level and be able to tuck those away sometimes and still be a great role model and a great example. And listen, sometimes you're going to be able to crash and you could crash and burn, but the only way up is just to get up and keep putting your foot forward.
That's great. That was awesome, Chris. Thank you so much for coming on our podcast hour. And for those of you listening, if you like it, please share, subscribe, and come back for more. Chris, thank you so much. That was amazing advice. And let's keep up and up. What is it? Onward and upward, or forward, or whatever. I'm messing the quote up.
Only way through it is through it. There you go.
That too.
So, all right. Thanks for having me. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.